Hello everyone. Let us continue our class of philosophical foundations of TCM. And today we will focus on the Yin-Yang Theory. As we have already learned in the theory of Qi, that everything in the universe is a result of movement and a change of Qi. Well, in Yin-Yang Theory, the Chinese ancients applied Yin and Yang to explain all things and phenomena in the natural world. Therefore, they both are the worldview and methodologies that Chinese ancients used to understand and explain nature. The contents in today's class we will explain the concept of Yin-Yang, the basic contents in the Yin-Yang theory, and application of Yin-Yang theory in TCM. This is a screenshot from a Chinese movie, Shadow, by a world well-known director, Zhang Yimou. I think this might be the first image that comes to your mind when we talk about Yin-Yang, with the white referring to Yang and the black referring to Yin. Yes, you are right. As we mentioned in our last class, that Dao De Jing states, Dao begets one, one begets two, two begets three, and three begets all things. The term one refers to the very original condition of the universe, chaos. And then, in this chaos, two opposite properties were produced, which were named as yin and yang. In this picture, water and fire respectively represent yin and yang, since it was said in the book Yellow Emperors in the Classic, 黄帝内经. Water and fire are the omen for yin-yang. By movement, interaction, and transformation between yin and yang, numerous things were produced in the universe. Let's have a look on the very original character of yang, which are pictographic character. The left part is a mountain, while the right part is a man. Together is a man facing to a mountain. Due to the geographical features in China, the south of a mountain as well as the north of a river are always the side under the sunlight, while the north of a mountain and the south of a river is always sunless. A man faces to the south of a mountain. That is the original meaning of yang, which indicates warm and bright. Then let's look at the character of yin. The left part is the back of a mountain, which means the north of a mountain. The right part is a man with his back to the mountain. So it is just opposite to yang. The very original meaning of yin refers to the north of a mountain and the south of a river, which is sunless and indicates cold and dark. Well, these two are what we use now for yin and yang, with sun and moon on the right side respectively. The extended meaning of yang refers to the heaven, the fire, the daytime qi of the human body, and anything that is bright, warm, formless, active at center. While the extended meaning of yin refers to the earth, the water, the night, blood of the human body, and anything that is dark, cold, formed, quiet at the center. Let's pay attention to the words with same color. Now we have the heaven and earth, the fire and the water, daytime and night, bright and dark. They are all paired with opposite properties. So this is yin-yang. Yin-yang is a generalization for two opposite aspects of interrelated things or phenomena in the natural world. Here, I need you to pay attention to these key words. When we use yin-yang to describe something, they must be opposite to each other and be interrelated as well. For example, the heaven and earth, man and woman. But what about the heaven and the woman, or the water and the man? No, they cannot be paired, for they are not interrelated, or we can say they are not in the same category. Meanwhile, it is also very important to know that yin-yang represents not only two inter-opposite things or phenomena, but also two inter-opposite aspects existing within one object or person. The form is an example for the classification of attributes of yin-yang. From the form, it is obviously that a paired yin-yang are opposite and interrelated, and they can be used to explain either two paired things or paired aspects within one subject. Now, let's talk about the basic contents in Yin-Yang theory, which include opposition and restriction between yin and yang, mutual dependence and interaction between yin and yang, yin and wax and equilibrium between yin and yang, mutual transformation between yin and yang. And I will explain one by one. Opposition and restriction between yin and yang, yin-yang 对立制约. Here, opposition refers to that their properties are opposite in the universe, such as heaven and earth, day and night, cold and heat, active and quiet, ascending and descending, entering and exiting, enter-center. Restriction refers to the mutual restriction and a mutual struggle between yin and yang. Actually, the opposition between yin and yang makes them possess the power to restrict the other, which is applied in TCM to set up therapeutic principles. For example, treat hot syndrome with cold herbs, or treat cold syndrome with warm herbs. Do you remember that in our class of syndrome differentiation, I have mentioned that wind-cold syndrome and wind-heat syndrome are the most common syndromes in common cold or upper respiratory diseases, as you name it, which can be treated with warm herbs and cold herbs respectively. See, here, warm herbs to treat cold syndrome and cold herbs to treat heat syndrome. This is actually an application of opposition and restriction between yin and yang. Mutual dependence and interaction between yin and yang. It means that any aspect of yin or yang cannot exist singly without the other aspect, and each must take the other as a condition of prerequisite for its existence. In the yin-yang symbol, we can see a black eye in the white fish and a white eye in the black fish, which means that there is yin within yang and yang within yin. This kind of mutual dependence is simply explained as 互根, based on each other, and interaction is simply explained as 互用, take advantage of each other. Just as Yellow Empress in the classic explained the mutual relationship between yin and yang in human body, it said that yin stays in the interior to take the guardian of yang. Yang stays in the exterior to take the message of yin. They cannot be isolated, but must be cooperated. Yin and wax in equilibrium between yin and yang. Yin and wax refers to the fact that the mutual opposite two aspects of yin and yang of things are not in the static state, but rather are in the process of movement and changes. Under normal condition, because there is mutual restriction between yin and yang, the yin and wax movement always maintains a certain limitation in a dynamic equilibrium. We can see in the yin-yang symbol, the increasing of yang is accompanied by the decreasing of yin, and vice versa. But neither waning nor waxing will not be endless due to their mutual restriction. That's why there is a dynamic equilibrium. The alternation among seasons actually is the result of wane and wax of yin qi and yang qi in the natural world. For example, from summer to autumn, yang qi wanes while yin qi waxes. When yin qi reaches to its maximal and yang qi declines to its minimal, winter arrives. These are 24 steps of season alternating, which are known as 24 solo terms in China. The arrival of winter is the result of waning of yang and waxing of yin. The result itself is called Yin-Yang transformation. It refers to the fact that the properties of yin or yang can be transformed into the opposite under certain conditions. When the wane-wax movement of yin and yang develops to a certain stage, yin can be transformed into yang and yang into yin. Season alternation, day and night alternation, syndrome transformation, i.e. heat syndrome transforming into cold syndrome, exterior syndrome into interior syndrome. They are all mutual transformation between yin and yang. Now, let us have a look on how is yin and yang theory applied in TCM. And I think this is the reason for us to learn the theory. It is applied to explain the tissues and the structure of human body, to explain the physiological functions of human body, to explain the pathological changes of human body. Further, Yin-Yang theory also serves as a guidance for diagnosis and treatment, and a guidance for disease prevention and health care. The form is a demonstration when we use Yin-Yang to explain the tissues and the structure. And then look at this one. Red is yang, while blue is yin. In the middle, yin and yang are in balance. In the left, there is too much yang, while the right is too much yin. Both of them are pathological conditions. And in TCM, the left condition is described as predominance of yang, which should be treated by reducing yang, while the right is described as predominance of yin, which should be treated by reducing yin. One more example. Left is in shortage of yang, while the right is in shortage of yin. In TCM, the left condition can be regarded as decline of yang, which should be treated by supplementing yang, while the right, decline of yin, which should be treated by supplementing yin. Alright, that is all for today. Yin-Yang is a generalization for two opposite aspects of interrelated things or phenomena in the natural world. The basic contents in Yin-Yang theory include opposition and restriction between yin and yang, mutual dependence and interaction between yin and yang, wane, wax, and equilibrium between yin and yang, and mutual transformation between yin and yang. Hope you like it, and I will see you next time.